Hello and welcome to WWDC 2016.
Are you guys ready? Okay, don't blink.
Well, actually, there's one more thing.
That's it.
Hello, this is MacNN. One more thing, the WWDC special. The thing is, you know what happened at WWDC, don't you? You heard it all, you know the lot. If we sat here just listing things, what would we be accomplishing? Instead, what I and Malcolm Owen, hello Malcolm.
Hello there.
What you and I are going to do about this is focus on the fact that in any WWDC, in all of these masses of things, there are going to be items that are of absolutely no interest to us. I want to say stickers and emoticons here. And there are others that make you go, oh, I'm having that. Let's have a personal look at WWDC, at what we like, what we are looking forward to, and what we don't like. I think of this as the ooh and ow show. Yeah? Yeah? Malcolm?
Certainly, yes.
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 I want to particularly as well, along the way somewhere, about things that are significant now, but also what we think is going to be significant later. Because there are a couple of moments in the presentation where it seemed to me, I thought things were massive and didn't get a big response. So either I'm wrong, or they're going to be later. In the spirit of ooh and ow, let's reverse our usual thing though and begin with thingies of the week. This time, Malcolm, what is the one thing you personally are looking forward to using that was revealed at WWDC 2016?
So I'm not going to be able to talk about my normal choice of a thingy of the week, which is something I've... Okay, yeah, we can do that, yes. Great. I was ready to talk all about Deadpool on Blu-ray for quite a while there.
Yeah, dodged a bullet there, didn't we? WWDC then.
Yes, it's a thing. Yes. The biggest thing that I thought, aside from the major announcements, Swift Playgrounds.
No, I'm with you on that, absolutely.
Because I know that Apple is doing the push towards, we've got to get our children to learn how to do the typey thing on the computer with their educated stuff and the coding in Swift. And what they've done is a brilliant thing. They've got an app which basically teaches the fundamentals of coding, all the building blocks you need to learn how to make some sort of software. They've put it into something that could be considered as a game, an entertaining app. So it's more edutainment, which is a sneaky way of teaching children something. And they've put it into an iPad, a form that children are going to be more likely to be using now than a desktop computer or a notebook, quite frankly. So they basically got all of this in one package that makes it easy to say, you, Timmy, you're going to learn how to program in Swift. Oh, Chica, thank you. Right, you've got to learn it now, and you can learn it through this app. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Certainly a change from when I was in school.
Okay, I tell you what, we've got so much to get through. I'm going to move on to my thingy of the week, if you're okay with that. Are you all right with that? I
suppose so.
Okay. My thingy of the week is Siri, particularly Siri on macOS Sierra. I'm going to use that all day. I would prefer it if you will be able to say, the words that invoke the god Siri on iPhones and things. Suddenly realise you didn't want to say that and have your iPad doing things on mine. I'd prefer that. I'd also like it very, very much if you could carry on working in it. I think on an iPhone, you use Siri for the next thing you want to do. So it's like you pick it up, you ask it, you use it in some way, and then you move on. With the Mac, I know things are going to pop into my head and I want Siri to make a note of it. It's having to stop writing and doing it. I hope that goes away soon. But, here we are. We finally got it and already I'm complaining. I will use Siri like mad, which actually is an ooh moment, but it's kind of an ow as well. Because even in the presentation last night, I started to find Siri's attitude irritating. I like it on the phone. It doesn't say a massive amount of sarky stuff, just every now and again. But with that, it was one after another, and I'm thinking, I will be using this all day. I am going to get irritated. This is like Android, isn't it? Is what I thought.
Well, the thing is, I admit that I've in the past had problems with dealing with voice-based assistants. So, using Google Voice Search, I've only recently, in the last couple of months, taken to actually asking it questions and queries and to do things on the phone in public. Because I find that if you're talking to a inanimate object in public, you are going a little bit mad. And although I understand fully that, yes, you can use Siri on a desktop, that's perfectly fine, the other problem is you're going to be talking to yourself in a room on your own. And that's ringing that bell of you're going mad again. Although I know fully that you are talking to a computer. But then again, other people are not necessarily going to really care about that. They'll just see someone talking to themselves in a room. Like this.
I talk to Siri on my watch several times a day, wherever I am. Are you calling me mad?
Yes?
Okay, well, that's quite fair enough, really. So, my thing of the week, Siri. That's great. I cannot wait for it. But that is Siri on macOS Sierra. Let's talk first about what I felt was the biggest thing, macOS Sierra itself. I mean, look at all these features. But I use a thing called Copied, which lets me copy something off my iPhone and it appears on my Mac. That's just been Sherlocked now, hasn't it? I mean, I know I'm picking on one feature and one Copied, but I think it's a very good feature. I understand Apple are taking things on board that make sense, although I'm sorry for Copied, and I really liked it so far. I'm picking on one feature out of so many in macOS Sierra. We should have counted how many new features were. What new features stood out to you about macOS Sierra?
Really speaking, the only two that I cared about were Siri, even though I think it's a weird, maddening thing at times, and the universal copy. I use my iPad to actually write on occasionally, so I wanted something to just easily transfer stuff between the Mac and that. So yes, so I'm happy. I didn't know that there was Copied before, so there is that.
Yeah. Copied is a nice app, iOS app. It is necessarily clunky because of the limits of iOS 9. It's just been handy. Actually, I think it does that clearly this universal clipboard thing doesn't, is you can just keep copying things and it adds them to a little stack, and then you go over to your Mac and you can pop them all out into one thing. So it's a bit like a clipboard manager that you would get in Alfred or Launchbar, one of those kind of things. So I think there'll still be a market for bionic clipboard managers, but the things I use most, boom, 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 copy and paste, that will be gone, and that's a shame. Well, I'll tell you what else is gone. OS 10. No longer will you be able to say to me, OS X.
I think I'll still continue saying that.
No longer will I be able to say right back to you, Windows 10p, which is still a joke that only works in the UK, but let's regard it as a value of Windows. I do like the fact, though, that actually the spirit of OS 10 lives on and will for one more year, because we've got iOS 10, haven't we?
Yay! iOS X, yeah.
Oh, walked into that, didn't I? iOS. I said this is the ooh and the ow show, and I did say that off the top of my head, and I'm not so convinced it sounds great now, but under the ow side, I actually thought iOS 10, all the demos on the lock screen that we saw, for some reason, I kept coming away thinking, this looks like Android to me. Is that just me? And do you like it?
Well, I think it's because I'm so used to using Android that I'm seeing everything that's appearing in iOS and going, well, yeah, that's plausible. That could, in theory, appear on Android if it hasn't already. So it does, but at the same time, don't worry about it, because Apple will probably get everything done in its own special way, as opposed to how we have to deal with Android versions.
I like the swipe of the camera from the side. That's nice. Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't like the I'm coming. I use the is it control? I forget the name. The control center from the bottom, notification center from the top. I've become used to using control center from the bottom a lot, and I do use it for music controls. I don't like the idea that I now have to swipe up, as you do so far, but then swipe to the side to get to music. That feels like a wasted extra step. But widgets. I don't really remember what widgets are. I do have a few of them in my notification center, the today thing, so I'm sure I'll use it this way. But I don't know, that felt like a swipe left and right too far. But otherwise, I like the lifting of the phone that comes on. I'll tell you something else I don't like. Did you look at the Apple Music demo? What did you think of the new look for Apple Music?
It looks okay.
I didn't think there was a massive difference, except for one thing. I mean, I know it feels weird talking about how the way something looks when it's music, but in this drive to make it clearer where things are, I like the fact that when you open your music app, it's your music you see first, rather than Apple Music. I think that's good. I think that's important. But as you go through the various sections, your music, playlists, for you. I love the for you thing, but I really disliked the typography. Very big, blocky, sans serif fonts, and it just looked ugly to me. I'm not used to Apple doing ugly things, so I'm worried about that. But maybe it will change.
Speaking of ugly...
Are you calling my name?
No.
Okay.
The horrible... when it came up, I just wanted to throttle someone. The messages.
Oh, right. Well, you're not down with the kids and the emoji...
No. Seriously, when I get a text message, I expect that text message to be, text. I like the idea of having full sentences with things like punctuation, spelling, grammar, capitalisation, the non-use of acronyms. I actually heard someone voice LOL. LOL.
You're listening to the Old Man podcast talking about... Yes, I know. There used to be a character in the show called LOL, so I always think of him in this. But yes, in real life and reality...
Yeah, instead of laughing. LOL.
One would hope that if you were actually funny, it would be an involuntary laugh. I'd take that as an insult.
I know, it's
Someone
just...
saying LOL.
It's just... But yeah, now we're going to have to deal with people who think that it's going to be fun and clever and brilliant to change the font size and put in actions and put weird backgrounds, and it's all going to be cutesy and fun and very Facebooky, and I'm going, no, I want to punch these people. It's just, no. I know it's not for me. I fundamentally understand and completely accept that I have no business caring about whether someone can make it so that you can just rub your finger over the text to show the text. No, I just want the text. If there is the option of an off button for this, I'll be perfectly fine with that. But now it's just...
You see, I'm not really following you here. I think, could you send me some sort of upside-down smiley face so that I really understand?
I can just about tolerate emoji, and even then barely. But now we're going to have... A text message used to be just that, a text message. And now everyone is moving over to images and little icons and, it's got to be quaint and so cute and kawaii and all that stuff. And
I want to move away from this. Tell me something you really, really like instead.
I'm sorry, I'm still seething.
Shall I tell you something I
Please
really,
do,
really
save
like?
me.
Okay. Because this is one of the things I thought, I punched the air when I got this, and I don't know that everybody else did. Developers having access to maps I think will be interesting, and I'm curious to know which way that will go, because I use a lot of mapping apps. That'll be fun. But developers getting access to Siri result, I thought. I mean, my first thought is, are the Omni Group watching this? I reckon they probably were. The OmniFocus To-Do app, you can already add things to it via Siri, but it's through a workaround. You're really adding it to Apple's reminders, and OmniFocus is nicking it really from there. So from now on, one imagines what they will do is allow me to say, add bread to my shopping list, because I have a shopping list in OmniFocus. Why not? Add this to that. Remind me to call this person in that project. There will be more. And I, as much as I use OmniFocus now, I expect to become best friends with it because of Siri Kit available to the world. Now, come on, you've had time. Something good, something whizzy, something wow.
Well, speaking about that, do you remember not that long ago there was the demonstration of Viv, which was another...
Oh, that's true, yes.
Now, ignoring the whole complex queries sort of thing, one key bit of that was they realised that they couldn't keep on manually adding features to it. And they said, oh, screw it, we'll just give out an API for developers to add their apps to it, just to expand everything. And it sounds like Apple is at least following that route, because this is one easy way of adding extra features to something. Make it so that anyone can add features to something. And Apple is embracing that with this, which is really quite nice.
I completely agree. I'd forgotten about that. Two thoughts. One is, I'll put money down that on day one of the release of iOS 10, the full release, not the beta, the Omni Group will have an updated version of OmniFocus. Money down. You ready for that?
I'm not.
Bet you a
I am
tenner.
not putting any money down.
Okay, because I thought I was certain to win there and I need a tenner. Oh,
Well, to be fair, it involves going to the cash point and it's too warm outside, so I'm not going outside.
Okay. I think it's going to be the fall, which presumably is September-ish by the time. So if you're passing a cash point between now and then, and the mood takes you, let's slap some money down on the table. And the other one is, you said about the complex searches in Viv, which I'd forgotten and which were very clever, that actually was an element of that, just a certain element, in Siri from macOS Sierra. I'm still getting used to that name. There was that thing where Craig Federici asked for certain documents and then effectively said, no, actually, give me this, which is a subset of it. So Siri was remembering the thing it had done and acting on that, which is only a small difference, but I think a significant one. So there you go. Even more good stuff.
That's the conversational style is starting to appear in other assistants as well. Google demonstrated this with Google Voice Search, which they're calling the Google Assistant. So, everyone's starting to do this conversational thing, which is nice.
I think it's remarkable, actually, the whole thing. We've said this to you before. I'm agog that voice recognition works at all. But we are used to it. We have things we're not used to yet. I'll tell you what, let's go halfway between the two. Apple Watch and WatchOS 3. Now, I'm an Apple Watch owner and you're not. Was there anything in that appealed to you, or did you just go and make a cup of tea?
Oh, I basically mentally fell asleep at that point. I don't have an Apple Watch. I'm not going to be able to own an Apple Watch until I get an iPhone in the first place, and I was very close to getting one recently, actually. It's always going to be me, not it. That's going to be the problem for owning an Apple Watch. I will break watches very easily. So owning a very expensive Apple Watch is not really a good idea. That being said, it's nice to see that Apple are making things faster, better, and easier to access everything. I will gladly admit that, what's it called? Scribble?
Yes, Scribble. I keep forgetting about Scribble.
I understand, I understand fully that being able to write out individual letters on the Apple Watch screen to create a sentence sounds like a very long and laborious way of doing things. But in that small subset of you can't take your phone out and you can't use voice dictation at that point, it seems like the perfect answer, at least for that. The on-stage demonstration where they showed off, we can use it to type in Chinese characters as well. That makes sense. Completely makes sense. It's just that I'm probably not going to use it for quite some time.
That was impressive, wasn't it? I'm thinking I so often dictate texts and replies into my watch as I'm driving, as I'm walking to the car, all these kind of things. I don't know, if there's a case where I can't get my watch out because it's obvious that I'm not listening, then I think staring at the screen scribbling for a while is equally rude. But it's impressive. and I do use the heartbeat sending. I have sent the odd squiggle around. We'll see, I think, with this. As an Apple Watch owner, let me tell you, which do you think first? A thing I really like or a thing I really dislike?
Bring forth the hate.
All the fitness stuff. I think it's very clever. And actually the sharing of fitness stuff at the end of most days, not by any particular plan, we just happen to fall this way, Ange and I will compare how we've done for our number of hours standing, our exercise minutes and our calories of the day, and she always wins. So that idea of sharing, I can understand it. That idea of extra bits, I can understand it. But that one where the watch face shows it to you all day, that would just cripple me every minute of every day with depression and misery. So I just get rid of that. Not for me, I think, but admittedly clever. And a thing I really like, you said it actually, far faster app launching. And I've been thinking about this an awful lot because I have many, many apps on my Apple Watch. Most of them are put there by the accompanying iPhone app. A lot of times I did not ask them to do that. So I have a screen full of these things. And when I remember, I get rid of some. There are one or two that I use. OmniFocus is one occasionally. Citymapper is good on it. But they are frustratingly slow. Except what's extra frustrating is they're not always slow. While they were talking about this in the presentation, I actually launched OmniFocus on my watch to see how... In fact, I timed it. And my OmniFocus on Watch OS 2 during that presentation opened exactly as fast as the sports example they gave. However, try it again an hour later and it will take an extraordinary amount of time. So I think they said that they're leaving recent apps in memory. I think it's got to be the apps I most recently used open faster. But actually, I can't understand it. If OmniFocus is the only app I've used for a couple of days, why is it sometimes fast? Why not? But however they're going to do this in watchOS 3, if it's consistently fast, I expect to be using these things more. So that's a big win. For me, that's definitely an ooh. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yay. We covered Apple Watch. We've covered iOS 10. We've covered macOS Sierra. There is the fourth of the 5 platforms that Tim Cook talked about, Apple TV and tvOS. Now, I think you and I, this is our personal bit of what's good and bad in WWDC, so we're not trying to be very comprehensive, but I think in this case, we have an issue that I'm pretty sure you don't have an Apple TV, do you?
No.
Right. I have the old one. I was persuaded to buy the 3rd generation or something about an hour before the new one was announced. And actually, I've been really happy with it. Happy enough that for once I haven't lusted about the upgrade. I am now, actually, after what they showed last night, tempted to get Angela a new Apple TV. And the thing that was getting me was the sheer range of things to watch. The fact that I think with that number of watch, there must be options to hide things you don't want. So I could get rid of the default sports stuff that keeps appearing on Apple TV. And I like the idea of being able to say, yeah, Siri, search for this. If that works as well as they say, I'd be happy. Tell you what I would love though, why isn't Sky one of these channel apps? I'd go for that like a shot if there were. Do you use Sky or are you a Freeview kind of person?
Well, I don't have Sky, but I use the Sky app because I'm a cheapskate. And someone else is using a Sky subscription without using the apps, so yeah, I'll use it.
Right. Sorry, is this someone else in the country or, someone in the same household kind of thing?
Within the family, yes.
Okay, right. I just wondered how you... Anyway, let's not go down that route. Yeah, I'm stumbling here. And funny enough, one of the things I want to talk to you about is stumbles. WWDC. It's not as slick as it used to be. I mean, they didn't have any massive failures. There were a couple of little bits where demos didn't go quite right. And I thought Craig Federighi leapt over a problem so well. I was really impressed with him, but it was still a problem. Other people stumbled on words. Actually, Federighi miscued something at the end. He almost forgot to go into the video for it. That's odd in something so usually well produced and slick. I mean, it's nearly as good as One More Thing, usually, isn't it?
Yes, this is a very well performed can I do that again?
Yes. Okay. In 3, 2. This is a very okay. I think we've got that one right. What's going on? Are they just trying to cram loads of people in? Do they have loads of people that they don't? Because it used to be Steve Jobs, 2, 3 other people. Now there's quite a lot of difference. Is that it? Just the scale is big?
I don't think so. On the one hand, the doing everything slickly, doing everything as perfect as possible for a really big announcement is important. So if they're presenting to the world, this is the new Trouser Iron 5000i or whatever, an Apple product, and it's going to be used by normal people as opposed to developers or diehards, and it's going to be reported about an awful lot in the mainstream press, then they certainly need to be as polished and as perfect as possible. This is WWDC, so this is to Apple developers. They want to show off that they really are trying to show the latest things to developers. So I suppose the mistakes that came up with bits crashing at least engenders the company, or endears the company, or whatever the word is. I can't remember.
Oh, I see. Like human. Yes, endears is right. It kind of humanises them. That's a
It
good
basically
point.
shows, yes, this is real stuff. This is all live, completely live. No, honest gov. And at least it shows that, yes, this is stuff you can use. This is stuff that is happening now. So the mistakes certainly offer that. As to the miscuing of a video, I'm an amateur magician, so I'll explain it in this sort of terms. Sometimes when you're doing something, you want to make it look like you've made a mistake, and then you go back and do something, and then to hide other actions or to convince or anything else like that. He could have easily just gotten through and hammered through the presentation, and then at the end completely avoided it. But going back and then saying, oh yeah, we got a video, that could be entirely planned by him, that he wanted to do that. It's entirely possible.
Now, I'll hear you say that as a magician, but I will raise you as a stage dramatist. Get me? I know that ad-libs are often anything but, and the skill of the delivery in making them sound unscripted is amazing sometimes. This didn't feel, to me, deliberate. It just didn't ring true in it somehow. So I do believe it was a mistake, and therefore, actually, that's it. We should just cancel all future WWDCs. Listen, I want to have one last thought. There's something I liked and something I wish I hadn't noticed, and they're the same thing. I very much like that we now have a lot of women presenting at WWDC. I dislike the fact that I even noticed this. It's just the fact that there never used to be. And now we have all these people from different parts of Apple that we've never heard of before, who clearly know their stuff, and they are obviously the best people to present those things, and it happens that they're women. I think it's a great thing. I just hope that next year I don't notice. Yeah?
I think that'll probably be a brilliant thing, to accept that there's loads of different people on stage and not to notice that there's loads of people on stage. That'd be nice.
Good. Well, then we're agreed. I think this is a point of agreement. We should shut up
Call
now.
the UN.
What do we call the UN?
The UN. We call the UN.
That's quite convenient, isn't it? It's in the name and everything. Okay, we have to wait now for all these lovely things to come. July is the soonest with the beta. The beta. I forgot where I was there. The beta of macOS Sierra. Are you going to install the beta? Is that a wise thing to do?
What? Am I going to install the beta of things? No. Certainly from a journalistic avenue, it would make sense to, if I had a spare device, let's install it, let's have a look at it, play around with it, yay. But I don't have that, so no.
I'm not liking this about myself, but I think I'm going to. You're right, and I shouldn't. But I shouldn't have I lasted with. Isn't that amazing? Now Sierra's coming. I've forgotten El Capitan, of course. I held out with El Capitan until quite close to the end, but I still caved. I can see me caving again. In which case, you may be on your own for the next one more thing. How's that?
Well, it'll be an interesting show.
Okay. And this wasn't. Fine. I'll take that. Right. I'm going to say goodbye to you. Goodbye to you.
Goodbye to you.
Goodbye.